All right. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Bon après-midi à tous. My name is Lori Shalhoub, and I'm the Vice President General Counsel responsible for external affairs for Stellantis in Canada. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome all of you to Stellantis Canada for what will be a very enjoyable afternoon. We begin this event by recognizing and respectfully acknowledging the lands on which we gather here today, the traditional territory of Anishinaabeg Bay. We appreciate, celebrate, and respect the contributions and culture of Canada's First Nations. So here's a fun fact. Did you know that there are over 30,000 components in a vehicle? And did you know that the headlights are one of the most heavily regulated parts of the vehicle? Nighttime visibility is of utmost importance. We all know how distracting it can be to be driving at night and face an oncoming vehicle whose headlights are misaligned, too bright, or uneven. So here's another fun fact. Did you know that you are in one of the largest lighting research facilities of its kind in the world? 2,323 square meters, 3 football fields long, offering simulated fog and complete darkness, pitch black. Hundreds of tests are completed here on exterior lighting for our world-class products. Beam patterns and light intensity are tested and benchmarked against competitive vehicles to ensure optimum visibility without causing glare to other drivers in the darkest of conditions. And this facility is a key component to our Automotive Research and Development Centre, a partnership forged for more than 25 years ago with the University of Windsor, designed to create a cooperative research and development facility with professors, engineers, and students, all working together on automotive research initiatives. I see that Dr. Robert Gordon, President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Windsor, is with us today, together with a number of Vice Presidents of Engineering, past and present. Thank you for your contributions and welcome. Through a strong collaboration with the City of Windsor, the Province of Ontario, and the Government of Canada, the Centre has grown to include road test simulators, a seating lab, and more recently, a virtual reality laboratory to simulate driving under all real-world conditions and to advance our knowledge for next-generation vehicles, including autonomous vehicles. The Centre has become a strong example of what industry, academia, and governments can accomplish by working together and creating solid partnerships. We will hear much more about partnerships in a few moments, but first I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and welcome our dignitaries and give mention to some of our many distinguished guests here today. On behalf of all of us at Stellantis, I'm honored today to welcome the Right Honourable Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada. The Honourable François-Philippe Champagne, the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry Canada. The Honourable Vic Fedeli, the Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade for Ontario. I would also like to recognize His Worship Mayor Drew Dilkens. Mayor Dilkens has been a terrific advocate for our city, our employees, and all things automotive. We also have with us many of the mayors for our region, including Mayor DiCarlo from the town of Amherstburg, Mayor Bondi from the town of LaSalle, and he's also representing Gary McNamara, the Mayor of Tecumseh, and the Mayor of Lakeshore, Tom Bain. Regrettably, Mayor Patrick Brown of the City of Brampton was unable to join us today. However, I wish to acknowledge his ongoing support for our operations and our employees at our Brampton Assembly Plant. I wish to also welcome Irek Kusmierczyk, the Parliamentary Secretary, Member of Parliament for Windsor-Tecumseh, and the co-chair of Auto Caucus. our Canadian consulate to the U.S., Mr. Joe Comartin, Mr. David Buckingham, our Chief Executive Officer for Stellantis Canada, and our partners from Unifor National, Mr. Shane Wark, the Unifor Assistant to the National President, Mr. Dave Cassidy, Local 444 for our Windsor Assembly Plant, and Mr. Danny Price, Local 1285 for our Brampton Assembly Plant. I also see a number of current and past representatives of Unifor and Ken Luenza. Although now retired, Ken has never lost his commitment to the thousands of workers that he represented. Thank you all for being with us today, and thank you to those who have traveled distances from various points of Michigan, Washington, D.C., and throughout Ontario. And we also want to thank those who are joining us today online. I would be remiss without thanking all of the employees and colleagues who have worked so hard to make this a historical day for our company, too countless to name. It's truly an exciting day for our partners and our entire Canadian workforce. And to share in our excitement and provide the details of this important announcement, I welcome to the podium our own Chief Operating Officer for North America, Mr. Mark Stewart.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're really excited to be here today for a long-awaited announcement. Unfortunately, we couldn't hold spring through the weekend into today, right? But one day we will all get together without there being rain and clouds. But Lori, thank you again, and thank you for welcoming everybody here today, everybody online. It is absolutely beyond a pleasure for me to be here today in Windsor, especially a couple weeks on the heels of our transformational announcement with our battery JV with LG Energy Systems right here in our backyard in Windsor as well. Today I traveled a little bit south of the border. I didn't come as far as many, right? Our Toronto friends, I definitely came a little shorter than you. But we are really happy to be here today to share more good news and stability for our Canadian operations. For nearly 100 years, generations of Windsor and Ontario families have proudly contributed to the growth of our company, to the success of the company, and have been a part of the evolution that is to come in the automotive industry. Once again, the industry is evolving, and we're transitioning to an electrified future. We need also to secure the future of Stellantis, our Stellantis family, our Canadian operations, for the generations to come. And to do that, I am super pleased to announce today that we will be investing 3.6 billion Canadian dollars in our operations. And it starts right here in our building, 650 additional jobs in ARDC to further our engineering, exploration, and technology change into electrification, and so much more. There's a significant investment which is supporting our company's long-term strategy, investing over 45 billion Canadian dollars over the next 2.5 years in electrification and software activities. And I want to walk you through quickly what the investment means, so don't glaze over. I'm not going to go in that many numbers, I promise, okay? But right here at ARDC, we're constructing our first battery testing lab for Stellantis North America. It's an amazing facility already here, whose Windsor employees contribute to the vehicles on the road everywhere in Stellantis today. This 100,000 square foot lab is going to be built on the open land just outside the facility here. It's going to be state-of-the-art center to accelerate our EV best-in-class performance. In addition to the 650 highly skilled engineers to work on PD, specializing in electrification, we're going to be so much more is coming. And we are very pleased today, especially with many of my friends on the front row, that we are critical to help us meet our goal of having more than 25 battery electric vehicles in the market in North America, with more than 53% of our sales targeted for EVs by 2030. First, Windsor is going to be retooled to produce a new multi-energy vehicle architecture and provide battery electric vehicle capabilities across multiple models. Brampton is going to be transformed, fully modernized, and beginning in 2024, when production resumes at the beginning of 2025, the plant is going to introduce all new flexible architecture to support the company's EV plans, including full battery electric vehicles. So last week, we were very pleased to confirm we have all been working very diligently with Windsor, with our sales and marketing teams in the market, to be able to continue on 2 shifts for the rest of this year at Windsor. So very happy for that. And for our future state, even more happy to return Windsor to a 3-shift operation. In addition, Brampton will return to a 3-shift operation. You know, there's lots of speculation, which vehicles are going where, right? And there's a time and a place. Today is not that time or place when we're going to share what those models are. François-Philippe maybe has been pushing me a little bit towards that. But no, we are really excited about the lineup that is going to have an expanded portfolio of different vehicles to help modify any, or help maintain any cyclicality in the marketplace, so that we have multi-energy vehicles, we have full-on battery electric vehicles, and we can be sustainable for the future with our Stellantis families in the market. But for now and today, right, we hope today's announcement really helps bring assurance to our families, to our employees, and the local community that we are committed to Canada for the long run and for the next 100 years. I may have to find some life elixir if I'm going to make it that long, guys. But okay, let's see. But it goes without saying, right? None of this would be possible without the fantastic collaboration with the federal, the provincial governments, Unifor, and all of our constituents. And we appreciate your vision, your leadership, and all of the support as we embark on this journey together to transition our company to an electrified future that has the stability for our Stellantis family members. You know, I also want to take a moment to thank our entire Stellantis family team who worked on the investment. Lori Shalhoub at the head of that pack, right? Working diligently, Lori, thank you. And Lori's team. Shane Carr from the Washington office as well. And their tireless, or maybe tireful, journey together with all of our partners for us to find a way to make this a reality today. Very exciting day. And here, as I said before, right, it's been an amazing first 100 years. We're super proud to have the foundation laid for the next 100. So thank you for joining us today, everybody. We really appreciate it. You know, it's my privilege to introduce and welcome the Honorable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, and Prime Minister on behalf of Stellantis and our Stellantis families. Again, thank you, thank your staff, thank the local province as well for all of the amazing work, for your leadership in the EV, of transforming Canada and helping us transform the globe with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Bonjour tout le monde. It is great to be here with so many good friends, particularly with Minister François-Philippe Champagne and Irek Kusmierczyk, our amazing members of our Liberal team that have worked incredibly hard for this announcement. It's great to be here with you, Minister Fedeli. It's always a good day to be able to work together for Ontarians and people right across the country. And for everyone here at Stellantis, Lori, Mark, thank you for your vision, for your leadership. To our friends at Unifor, thank you so much for everything you guys have done, fighting for Canadians, fighting for good middle-class jobs. The partnerships we've been able to build with Labour over the past 6 years have led in a large part to the kind of success that we've been able to see over the past years in creating good jobs, sustainable for the future. And thank you to the municipal leadership as well. Thank you for being there as partners, fighting for your communities and building a better future. But mostly thank you to all the workers, both behind me and behind us here. Your excellence, your commitment to building a strong future, not just for yourselves, for your kids, but for your communities and your country, is the greatest asset that Canada has. And we've talked a lot about all the great things that Canada has to offer as we pitch international investors to come set up shops, set up factories, set up production facilities in Canada. And yes, it's great that we have access to natural resources and critical minerals, which is a big part of it. But the number one selling job is always Canadians themselves. Hardworking, willing to build a better future, willing to put innovation and creativity into everything they do. It is so exciting to be able to thank you so much for the work you've done over the past months, years, and indeed decades and generations when we talk about Windsor in demonstrating the outstanding quality. And I will say, as Prime Minister, I get to, work with Canadians from coast to coast to coast, talk about the great work people are doing all across the country. But I would be hard-pressed to point out a community where hard work hasn't been as much of a driver of success as here in Windsor. The hard work the Windsorites have put into building their community, building their future, has defined you, and today and over the past while, it's really been recognized and is significantly paying off. We've reached a deal with Stellantis to make this Windsor plant and the one in Brampton global leaders on building electric vehicles. Investing in this multi-billion-dollar project is because it'll deliver. It'll deliver for workers, it'll deliver for communities, it'll deliver for our economy, and it'll deliver for the environment. Not only are we growing a world-leading auto industry, creating hundreds of jobs and securing thousands more, we're keeping our air clean by building and driving more EVs here at home. L'entente d'aujourd'hui est une bonne nouvelle qui s'ajoute à plusieurs autres annonces faites récemment. Dans les 2 derniers mois, on a conclu des ententes historiques pour les travailleurs et le secteur automobile. Et ces ententes donnent des résultats. On maintient et crée plus de 16 000 emplois ici, en Ontario et au Québec. That's 16,000 jobs maintained and created across Ontario and Quebec. That's how many positions we've secured with auto manufacturing deals in just the last 2 months. That's how many workers will be able to count on a good job making hybrids, electric vehicles, and electric vehicle batteries. That's the path of the future for good jobs and clean air. Ces ententes représentent un engagement d'environ 13 milliards de dollars de la part des gouvernements et de l'industrie. Ça démontre à quel point il y a une confiance dans l'économie canadienne pour les investisseurs. When we attract investments to Canada, like we've done this spring with Stellantis, but also with GM, Honda, and more, when we make it more affordable to buy electric vehicles as we're doing with a federal rebate of up to $5,000. And I was just in BC talking with people how much provincial rebates can make a difference as well, so we need to recognize that. When we tap into Canada's critical mineral resources that go into batteries and more, we invest in clean air, we invest in a strong economy, and we invest not just in strong middle-class jobs, but strong middle-class careers for communities for generations to come. Now, surprisingly, there are still some politicians that say that you have to choose between the environment and the economy. But to them, I say, look what we're building here in Windsor, in Brampton, and right across the country. Folks here get it, and that's why we're so happy to be moving forward with this announcement. We're growing a strong middle class in Canada so workers, their families, and everyone can succeed. Les Canadiens bâtissent un avenir meilleur. On est ici pour bâtir avec eux. And in making a big announcement like this, I can't imagine of a better place than Windsor to make this announcement, where generations of hard-working Canadians have demonstrated what we are all capable of. Thank you, Windsor, for representing us so strongly in the auto industry on the world stage, but thank you to everyone who made this happen. As I introduce our next speaker, in terms of the list of people who helped make this happen, I've got to say, François-Philippe Champagne has been indefatigable in how he has reached out to secure investments for Canada, how he has sold Canada on a destination to do big things in a competitive environment around the world. I sort of shudder every time my phone rings and it's François-Philippe, because I know there's another deal coming down the pipe that's going to, yes, boss, it'll cost us a little bit of money, but it's going to bring in so many more jobs and much more money that it's a good thing. And quite frankly, the over $500 million investment that the federal government is putting forward here is securing a $3.6 billion Stellantis investment. So this is how we build a stronger, more prosperous future. That is something that our next speaker wakes up every morning trying to figure out how to do for Canadians. And I am lucky to have him by my side, but all of us here in Windsor and everywhere are lucky to count on François-Philippe Champagne to deliver the goods and the jobs for Canadians. François-Philippe.
Well, what an introduction. Hi, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. As you could see, there's a lot of emotion in the air, and I think there's very good reasons for that. Delighted to see all the workers. Bonjour tout le monde. This is a moment we've all been waiting for. The Prime Minister said it. This is a big moment for all of us here in Windsor, but I would say across the auto sector in Canada. Prime Minister, you said the other day that I had a bit of energy. Well, I can tell you with an announcement like this today, my batteries are full of energy, and these batteries will be made in Canada, sir. I can assure you of that. We're going to be continuing to make a difference, because this is truly transformational for our industry. I want to say, Minister Fedeli, I am glad that we could bring this deal across the finishing line. We've been working hard, and today is a great moment for all of us. MP Kusmierczyk, I want to say thank you. The Prime Minister said it, but I want to add my voice to the Prime Minister. Thank you for your tireless advocacy. There's never a time where you have not spoken up for the community of Windsor, for the auto sector, and for the future of the industry. And I want to recognize in front of each and every one here in this room that you have played a critical part in shaping the future of the auto industry in Canada. So, my friend, I want to say thank you. I can assure you, when you have Irek on your back to make sure you deliver, you do deliver, you know. So thank you, Irek, for that. It's been very good. Brian Massey, I think, Brian, you're here, the MP for Windsor West and member of the Industry Committee. So, Brian, nice to see you here today. Mayor Drew, I guess I can say Drew by now. I mean, every time we've come in town, it's pretty good news. So, Drew, it's a real pleasure to see you, Mayor Dilkens, and we'll keep coming back, the Prime Minister and I and everyone, because the Prime Minister said it, there's good things happening here in Windsor. And I remember giving a press conference, and it's almost difficult to fathom all the economic benefit that will come from this announcement and the one we did on the battery. You're talking close to $9 billion in this community. So the Prime Minister said it, this is jobs for generations to come in a very high-intensive industry, big on innovation. So this is the job of today and the jobs of tomorrow. I also want to recognize Dave Cassidy. Dave, you've been, I would say thank you. Thank you for your support along the way, as it was essential to us to have the union with us in shaping the future of the Windsor plan. So I want to thank you, and also I hope your family will forgive us. I know we brought you from Florida, but there was good reason for having you with us today. So thank you, because you and the Unifor member in Windsor deserve a round of applause, because you played a big part in what we're doing here today. I promised I would ask forgiveness to your wife in camera, so here it is done, Dave, now. Danny Price. Danny, I want to say thank you as well, the Unifor member from Brampton. I must say that your last message really helped us to get us to where we are today, so I want to acknowledge your contribution as well, and I want to say thank you for what you've been doing, sir. And the Prime Minister said it, yes. And the Prime Minister said it. And I've met many of you walking here today. And I'm always reminded when I cross the gate in one of these plans, my biggest thanks goes to the thousands and thousands of workers of Stellantis. It's thanks to your talent, it's thanks to your know-how, it's thanks to your excellence from generations to generations that we are able to secure investment like that today. So I want to give you a big round of applause, because it's thanks to you that we can be here today. And all of you in the back there. Because the Prime Minister said it, it starts with talent, it starts with people, and we are blessed to have talent and the great people. When I go around the world and sell, the capacity, the first thing people ask, is there enough talent to support our growth? And the answer is a resounding yes. And I'll come to, obviously, you, Mark Stewart, and the whole team of Stellantis. Mark, last time we were in Windsor, when we announced the $5 billion battery, what I've called gigafactory, here in Canada, the very first one. You said that you and I had been texting more than you do with your kids. Well, I must say since then, we've spent even more time talking and texting to each other. So I want to thank you, sir, for your leadership. I want to thank you for your involvement at every step of the way. And I want to thank you for the vision you had for the workers, for the capacity of Canada, and for being here today. We would not be here today without your leadership, sir, and I want to applaud your leadership in doing all that. You need people like Mark Stewart to make it happen. Now, I can say now, Mark, you won't see my face on your phone for the next few weeks. I promise that for you. I'll give you a couple of weeks before I call you back. I have some other things in mind. But for now, it's a great moment to celebrate. I know you already heard it from the Prime Minister, but this is a big day for Canada. Let's pause for a moment. This is a big day for Canada. Today, I said 3 is the magic number of the day. We're talking about 3 shifts in Windsor and 3 shifts in Brampton. And for the folks of Unifor, they know what it means as we were looking for the future. So this is probably the biggest thing today, that we have secured 3 shifts for our folks both in Windsor and in Brampton. Yes, I think we deserve, because I can assure you, when we start our discussion, Mark would be witness of that, we were not there. But thanks to your excellence, thanks to the work of the Unifor team, and thanks to the work we've done together with our colleagues from the province, we got us to where we are today, and that's a big thing. I would say 3 is also the number of EV mandates that are coming to Canada. So we're going to have 3 EV mandates, which are going to secure, as the Prime Minister said, the future is electric, and the future is going to happen right here in Canada. This $3.6 billion investment will secure the long-term future of Stellantis, both in Windsor and in Brampton. And for me, Prime Minister, and I think for all of us, this is a vote of confidence for our auto workers. This is a vote of confidence for our auto sector, and this is a vote of confidence for Canada. So I think we should all be very proud as Canadians today. Investors around the world are seeing that something is happening right here in Canada, and I can tell you we're going to continue to make sure we make the case for Canada and its workers. So the Government of Canada, $529 million investment or contribution to this project today will mean that thousands of workers, indeed, as the Prime Minister said, thousands of families will see the benefits of being part of the transition to an electric auto sector. What we're seeing around the country today is that our vision for the EV ecosystem across the nation is taking form from the mines to the recycling plant. Avec les annonces d'aujourd'hui, le Canada est l'un des rares pays au monde à disposer d'un écosystème complet dans le domaine des véhicules électriques. Nous produisons déjà de l'acier et de l'aluminium vert et nous produirons bientôt des batteries vertes et notre secteur de l'automobile est l'un des plus performants au monde. And as we have seen, companies from around the world are taking notice, Prime Minister. Just last week, the OECD confirmed that Canada tops all the major world's economy when it comes to foreign direct investment, 161%. Let me repeat, 161% is the number. This is how much foreign direct investment grew last year in Canada. So your talent, the proximity to resources, the proximity to the assembly plant, the proximity to the ecosystem that we have built in Canada is really making a difference. And as you look at the EV ecosystem here in Canada, you start to understand why. The Prime Minister said it. In the last 2 months alone, we have announced over $13 billion in capital investments in our auto sector. From Bécancour to Brampton to Windsor and beyond, this means more than 16,000 direct jobs and tens of thousands more across the supply chain. Those are families who are going to see a future in the sector. Those are going to be families who have security when it comes to good jobs and generations of workers in the auto sector. So in conclusion, I would say let's seize the moment. Let's keep the momentum going. We have the wind in our sails. Let's be ambitious, as I know the people of Windsor have always been, and the folks in the auto sector in Ontario, and let's lead the green industrial transformation together. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. Okay. So, Lori is smiling at me, and when Lori is smiling, usually you answer. So, Lori, I'll turn over to you. The podium is to you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. So I'm smiling because I have the distinct pleasure of introducing the Honourable Premier Doug Ford, who's arrived, and we really want to welcome here today. So Premier Ford, thank you, and please, welcome.
Well, that's great. Well, first of all, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you, Lori, for that introduction, and thank you to the Prime Minister. Sorry, Prime Minister, I was flying coach today, and then we're delayed for 4 hours. So, but it's great to make it here and standing with all of us again as we deliver another a big investment, I should say, for Ontario and the people of Windsor. On behalf of Minister Fedeli, I want to recognize Minister Champagne. You're a dynamo as usual. Our two best salespeople, Prime Minister, I always say, is our two great economic ministers. Mayor Dilkens, great to see you. And you're a champion here for the people of Windsor. Lori, Mark, and the whole team at Stellantis here in Windsor and Brampton. And Shane and Danny and Dave from Unifor, all representing incredible women and men there who are helping us at this time and doing everything possible. Friends, our government has a plan. It's a plan to attract more investment in our auto and manufacturing sectors while we connect resources, industries and workers in Northern Ontario to the future of clean steel and electric vehicles. It's a plan that will see Ontario retake its rightful position as North America's leader in automotive manufacturing as it was for over 100 years. And today, we are once again seeing that plan in action. While previous governments may have given up on Ontario's manufacturing sector and watched from the sidelines as 300,000 jobs left this province, our government is bringing good jobs back to Ontario's workers. Since we took office less than 4 years ago, Ontario has added over 500,000 new manufacturing jobs all over Ontario, and I have to again thank the partnership with the federal government, because this wouldn't happen without their support and the municipal governments. The big reason for this success is our vision for the auto sector called Driving Prosperity, because we know that we can and should build the vehicles of the future right here in Ontario. We have the expertise, we have the best workers anywhere on this planet. We have the critical minerals needed to power the electric vehicles revolution. Now we have the competitive business environment needed to attract game-changing global investment to the province. And we continue to rack up big wins for Ontario's auto sector and the workers who make it all possible, including Stellantis and LG's historic investment here in Windsor, where earlier this year they announced $5 billion, the largest auto investment over a decade, to build Canada's first ever electric vehicle battery plant, creating 2,500 new jobs for the people of Windsor. And as this community grows and thrives once again, our government will continue to support the people by building brand new hospital in Windsor, which is long overdue, and thanks again, Mayor Dilkens, for that. And we're thrilled to be in Windsor again for another big win. Because today, Stellantis is investing $3.3 billion in its Windsor and Brampton plants to retool them to make electric vehicles. They will also build 2 new research and development centers for electric vehicles and battery technology right here in Ontario. This secures more steady, well-paying jobs for the people and families of Windsor and Brampton. Our government is supporting these investments with up to $513 million, and we're so grateful that our federal partners will match that. I have to say, none of this would be possible without them working with us, as I said earlier, side by side to deliver these huge wins for Ontario. Together, we are making Ontario the leading jurisdiction for electric vehicles, from research to development to rolling off assembly line. It's all happening right here in Windsor. When we took office 4 short years ago, Ontario, once a vibrant auto industry, was on the ropes. Auto companies were shutting down and leaving our province and taking thousands of jobs with them. Today, that has all changed. We now have secured major investments from all auto companies, again with the support of municipal, federal and provincial governments. Over the 18 months, Ontario has seen nearly $14 billion invested in new vehicle and battery production, creating tens of thousands of jobs all across Ontario. We're investing in mineral production, battery production, clean steel production, and final assembly. We're investing in every part of the auto supply chain. The cars of the future will be built in Ontario from start to finish. Our government will continue to get it done for Ontario's auto sector, and everyone who helps make it happen, we're greatly appreciated. We will be the world leaders, because when we're working together, when we were all pulling towards a better and brighter future for every single Ontarian. Well, my friends, we're absolutely unstoppable. In 4 short years, our province has come so far. Let's keep building, let's keep investing in our workers, and let's secure Ontario as North American leader in the auto manufacturing for another 100 years. Let's get it done. I want to thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Now I'll pass it over to my great minister, Minister Fedeli. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. It's great to see you. Before I begin, I have to say thank you to Stellantis for the road sign of the moose. Thank you for making me feel at home coming from Northern Ontario today and passing many of those on the way down. Prime Minister, Premier, Minister Champagne, all the elected officials, Mayor Drew, Windsor works. I love that, and it's working again today. Lori, Mark, Like, how great is this, guys? It's terrific to be back in Windsor for yet another game-changing announcement. It wasn't that long ago that a former premier stood with then Fiat Chrysler chair Sergio Marchionne and asked him whether Chrysler at the time was going to expand in Windsor. His answer, I have to tell you, he was stunned. He said, and I'm quoting, "This is not what I would call the cheapest jurisdiction." And then he went on to say, "I think you need to create the conditions to become competitive." Well, Sergio, God bless you. Know that we were listening, and we listened to and continue to work with Mark and Lori and the whole team here at Stellantis and so many other companies who told us what they needed to make Ontario competitive again. And since taking office, our government has been laser focused, as the Premier said, on making Ontario a great place to do business and restore our place as the leading automotive manufacturing hub. By lowering taxes, reducing energy costs, and cutting red tape, our government has reduced the cost of doing business in Ontario by $7 billion a year, every year and every year going forward. In our Driving Prosperity Auto Plan, we set out our commitment to transform supply chains, to build the cars of the future, from planning to production, from design to development, right here in Ontario. It was a plan to ensure that here in Windsor, in Brampton, in all the cities and towns across Ontario where they've been making cars and parts for generations, that the next generation of workers and the one after that and the one after that will make new cars and parts with new technology that revolutionizes the way we get around. It's a vision you have also shared with us, Mark, as a company. We saw it the last time we were all here, François, when we had so much excitement, Prime Minister, with the partners from LGES to announce that $5 billion investment in the EV battery plant. We worked so hard on that, and it was such a successful project, Mark, creating 2,500 jobs and the thousands of jobs. I use your quote all the time. Mark told us that day that the 4,500,000 square foot building is the size of 112 hockey arenas, and we use that over and over to try to give some scope to this. Of course, it's Canadian. You have to say it's hockey arenas, so thank you. Between the investments in Windsor and Brampton, we're proud to add $3.6 billion in further investments to Ontario. And as the Premier said earlier, that brings it now, Premier, in 18 months, we've seen $14 billion of new transformative auto investments come here to Ontario, and it's a huge vote of confidence in Ontario. And because of all of this new technology, for the first time, our beloved Northern Ontario communities can now truly participate in Ontario's auto industry, because Northern Ontario is where you'll find a concentration of critical minerals unlike anywhere else in the world. So from Windsor to Brampton, and now even Cobalt, Ontario, it's such an incredible time to be part of Ontario's auto sector. Today's announcement takes us again to $14 billion in investments in Ontario, something that bears repeating, Premier, and thank you again for your leadership on this. It's just truly, I think you called it transformative. It's incredible. So Mark, to you, to all of the workers, to your leadership today, to the team back at our ministry who worked with you to put this together, thank you. Thank you for your tremendous efforts, for building momentum for what really is an automotive renaissance. Let's keep at it. Let's keep doing these amazing things to build the auto industry of the future. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Today is another great day in Windsor, Essex. Prime Minister, it is so good to welcome you back to Windsor. Premier Ford, Ministers Champagne and Fedeli, distinguished guests, Mayors Dilkens, Mayors Bondi, and Mayor McNamara. Last week, I had a chance to talk to a young man named Luke. Luke is 18 years old and has plans to study electromechanical engineering this fall at St. Clair College. We talked about the battery electric plant and how one of those 3,200 jobs will be there for him just as he graduates from the college. 2 years ago, I had a chance to also meet Delaney Krieger at a funding announcement for an organization called Build a Dream. Build a Dream is a Made in Windsor organization that encourages young women to pursue the skilled trades across Canada. That day, Build a Dream was receiving a big federal grant that encourages and supports young women through the Skilled Trades Awareness and Readiness Program. Delaney is now a third-year apprentice and mechanic apprentice with Carpenters Union 494. Most importantly, Delaney travels the country as a Build a Dream ambassador, encouraging other young women to pursue careers in the skilled trades. Luke is a bright young man. Delaney is a bright young woman. And thanks to these two once-in-a-generation investments, young people like Luke and Delaney have big, bright futures here in Windsor, Essex, and that is something worth celebrating today. You know, a few years ago, it was hard talking about the future here. Our community was busy fighting for its life, fighting every day just to keep plants open, to keep young people here. But folks like Dave Cassidy kept the faith, kept fighting. Our auto workers believed, dug deeper, rallied together. This day is for them. Thank you to the leadership at Stellantis for placing your faith in our community. We will continue to make you proud. Prime Minister and Premier, you know that we build things better here than anywhere else in the world. Thank you for trusting our workers and our community with building Canada's zero-emission future. Our region is a shining example of the possibilities that the green transformation holds for manufacturing communities across Canada, that protecting the environment and building prosperity go hand in hand. And for Windsor, Essex, that future not only includes the chance to build electric vehicles, but it includes establishing an Ojibwe National Urban Park and the opportunity to lead the protection of our Great Lakes in partnership with Canada's new Clean Water Agency. Our community is changing in ways that we could not imagine just a few short years ago. And Minister Champagne, what can I say? You've brought the largest auto investment in the history of our country to Windsor Tecumseh, and now $14 billion in auto manufacturing investments across manufacturing communities in Ontario in just the last 2 years. They call you the Energizer Bunny for a reason, but in this community, Minister, we call you a great friend and a great champion. Thank you. And now it gives me great honor to welcome to the podium Shane Wark, the Unifor National Automotive Lead. Shane.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's truly an honor to be here with you today. I bring greetings on behalf of the Unifor National Leadership Team. I want to start by thanking and congratulating Mark Stewart and the Stellantis team for today's announcement. I also want to thank Prime Minister Trudeau, Minister Champagne, Premier Ford, and Minister Fedeli for being here today and for their unwavering support for the auto sector. Today is a great day for the Canadian auto industry, for workers, their families, and our communities. I say this from a personal perspective. Mark, you may not know this, but my father worked at the Windsor Assembly Plant decades ago. My uncle worked at the Windsor Assembly Plant for 30 years, and he retired 10 years ago, and to this day still gets a monthly pension from Stellantis. So This is a personal connection to the investments that are being made, and I hope this investment will lead to a next generation of thousands of workers being able to get a good-paying job, raise a family, and eventually retire from Stellantis. I've been involved in this sector for almost 30 years and cannot recall ever seeing investment announcements in terms of both number and scale like we have seen over the past 18 months, as Minister Fedeli had mentioned. This is a testament to governments for understanding what it takes to build strong economies. It's a testament to companies like Stellantis who make commitments, who stick by the commitments, and as we're hearing today, exceeds their commitments. And again, Mark, we thank you for your commitment to Canada. A testament to all industry stakeholders for putting politics aside and rowing in the same direction. And of course, it's a testament to Unifor members and the work they do day in and day out in our major auto, powertrain, independent part plants, building among the best and highest quality vehicles in the world. Today is an important day for Unifor members and leaders. They have worked for and fought for over many years. There is no group of workers more deserving of a chance to build Stellantis vehicles of the future than our members in Windsor and in Brampton. There is also no group of workers more ready to advance Canada's net zero ambitions while at the same time working hard to sustain good, community-building union jobs. Our entire union couldn't be happier for them. These investments are transformative. The benefits of today's investment announcement will extend well beyond Windsor and well beyond Brampton. These investments will attract more local suppliers, create more jobs, and generate more economic activity in our province and in our country. Today is one step closer to Canada again becoming a global automotive powerhouse. Today is a great day. And if everyone can keep rowing in the same direction, Unifor is certain there are more great days to come. Unifor looks forward to continuing what has been a very productive dialogue between Stellantis and the national and local unions, especially as more product program details surface over the coming months and years. Before I pass the microphone over to Dave Cassidy, President of Unifor Local 444, and Danny Price, President of Unifor Local 1285 in Brampton, I want to close by thanking a few more folks. 2020 bargaining set the table for the important announcements we are hearing today. So I want to personally thank Dave and Danny for all the work that you've done on behalf of our union. I'd like to thank James Stewart, the chair of the Stellantis Unifor Master Bargaining Committee, and all of our local leadership across the Stellantis chain. I want to thank our Unifor national leadership, former National President Jerry Dias, Auto Director Dino Chiodo, Unifor national staff, including John Breslin, who is with us here today, all for their tremendous work during 2020 contract negotiations, which helped chart a path to today. Finally, and most importantly, I want to again thank our Unifor members at Stellantis and across the auto industry. Your skill, dedication, and hard work continues to be Unifor's best argument for why auto companies should invest in Canada. Thank you, Unifor members, for everything you do. Dave?
Well, thank you. And, you know, I said, how was I going to start this off? Well, Mark, I don't know if you remember, but 3 years ago is when I met you. And I was on a family vacation in Orlando. And I flew back for a meeting with Mark Stewart. And Mark, that happened today. So Mark, if you want to bring some more investment, let me know. I'm going to head off to Orlando, and I'd be more than happy to fly back any single time. That's great. No, I appreciate that. But I mean, this is wonderful. This announcement, I cannot thank the governments, both governments. I know I have a lot of your phone numbers, and I know that I'm relentless to follow up with you all the time on where we're going. Lori, you're lucky I don't have your number, because it would be the same. But anyways, I do it through Mark, I guess. and I really want to recognize also, though, on the manufacturing side, I've built a very good relationship with Mike Risha of your team. And from the HR side that we deal with every single day with Jacqueline Oliva. And their teams are second to none. You have very strong leadership there, Mark. We're happy with the leadership we have in our plant. I know, and I'll speak for Windsor with our plant chair, Tony Greco, and Paul Reno as our skilled trades, working with our new management, Dave, as taking over as a new plant manager. We're excited on what's going to happen inside the facility. That's where it all happens with the workers. I always use the line, if you want it built right, you build it in Windsor. Well, now, if you want it built right, we build it in Canada. So it's very important, and thank you, Mark, for moving forward with us. We won't let you down. Premier, I know you said it on the last investment. I do call you quite often on this and where we're at, and Vic calls me and says, why did you call the boss? Because, we don't download them. That's not how it works. I don't know how government works. All I know is we got to get things delivered, right? Okay, so thank you. Prime Minister, give me your number and I'll be on the horn with you too. No, but, Minister Champagne, in the last few weeks, first time I met you is when we dealt with CETA, and you fast forward a few years, and, your relentlessness on this file was great. I know that I gave you crap a few times, because it wasn't coming fast enough for my liking, I guess. But, my dad always told me, stick and stay, it's bound to pay, and I'm glad that we stuck with it and you stuck with us, because we won't let anybody down. So on behalf of Local 444, the membership, and our executive, we are very, very grateful here in Windsor for what happened here today. So thank you. Sorry, Danny. I never forget Danny. Danny and I are bargaining partners all the time. So the president of 1285, Danny Price.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank everyone for being here today and for the opportunity to say a few words on behalf of the workers at the Brampton Assembly Plant. Today's announcement would never have been possible without the hard work and dedication shown year in and year out from the thousands of workers at the Brampton Assembly Plant and our independent parts suppliers. These workers not only earn the respect from the employer, but today are being recognized by both the federal and provincial governments on the important role they play in a crucial industry to the economic stability of our province and country. What was made clear in every meeting we had with the government officials, the company, and in our community was that the thousands of workers in Brampton are among the hardest working, most highly skilled group of working people anywhere, who build high-quality, best-in-class vehicles that are the envy of any automaker anywhere in the world. Our plant is providing the necessary profits for the company to push forward in its transition to electrification. We proved our commitment to quality, cost savings, and did everything we could as workers to maximize the profits for Stellantis and position ourselves to be recognized for this investment. We are a critical part of Stellantis' success and a crucial piece of Canada's auto sector, and we wouldn't want it any other way. Today is a proud moment for every Brampton Assembly Plant worker and an important opportunity to reflect on the work our union has done to push for new investment and product commitments. This is the result of the hard work and dedication of countless numbers of production and skilled trade representatives who devoted their time and energy at not just the bargaining table, but in hundreds of meetings with government, the company, and throughout the community to advocate for our plant and its workers, as well as highlighting the importance to strengthen the Canadian auto manufacturing sector. The pandemic has opened our eyes to the importance of bringing back and building the manufacturing sectors in this country so that we are not left reliant on countries around the world for our products and held hostage from the pitfalls of globalization. On behalf of the thousands of workers associated with the Brampton Assembly Plant, I would again like to thank everyone for being here today and recognize the important support for our plant made by all levels of government, provincial and federal, and Stellantis. Thank you for the continued support from our national union, and most of all, thank you to all the workers at all our facilities for being the best at what we do. Thank you. I'd like to introduce the Mayor of Windsor, Drew Dilkens.
Well, thank you very much, Danny. Prime Minister, welcome back to Windsor. Minister Champagne, Premier, Minister Fedeli, great to be here, to have you here, and to talk about this important announcement. And Mark, of course, I go back to 1980. Let me tell you, in 1980, young Drew, who was actually about that tall, had a dad who worked for this corporation for 38 years. And in 1980, I think people remember how difficult times were in the auto sector and certainly for Chrysler at the time. Young Drew was called into the kitchen with my two older brothers, my mom and dad. They turned the black and white TV on. They pulled up the antenna on the TV, and we waited about 15 seconds for the TV set to warm up so we could get a picture. And we were all gathered around the TV, and I didn't quite understand then, but I certainly do today. Gathered around the TV because we didn't know whether Chrysler was going to survive. And so that was the news of whether Lee Iacocca could make a deal with the President of the United States and get it through Congress to save Chrysler Corporation. And when that news was announced, I can tell you the elation between my mother and father, I didn't quite understand, but they've never hugged each other so tight than that particular day in 1980. And today I understand what that elation is all about. Last month I understood what that elation was all about, because each of us has gone through the trials and tribulations, the ups and downs of an auto sector. We've lived through it here in Windsor. And the people behind me and the people in front of me who work for Stellantis, who've worked here for decades, have done a great job. And you do not get these types of investments but for the fact that there is trust in the employees to deliver, trust in the community to be able to deliver on the employment side, and to make it through together. And so there is no doubt Windsor is on the move. And I can tell you firsthand, Windsor is electrified. And if you didn't get that hint at the battery announcement in March, what today confirms is Windsor's place at the heart of the automotive renaissance is clear. Our place as the automobility capital of Canada is strong. And just like the battery plant in March, today is all about the future of the automotive sector in Southern Ontario. And I don't need to tell any of you here today, but that future is darn bright. It wasn't long ago. We think of the recession in 2009, that we were all a little concerned again about the auto sector. And at the time, just 4 years ago of my inaugural address, one automaker had closed their plant in Oshawa, and the thought of that happening here in our city gave me a chill. It gave City Council a chill. And so we said, we're not going to sit back as leaders and let this happen. We are going to develop a plan. And so we set about to create Windsor Works and to lure this kind of investment back to our community, which has been the Canadian Centre for Vehicle Manufacturing for North America for more than a century. And investments like these are truly once in a generation. They help set the stage, they help set the tone for product lines that will be coming over the coming decades. Innovation, research and development, and the highly skilled engineering jobs that are coming are going to be a tremendous boost for the local economy, which is already anticipating the growth that a new EV battery facility will bring. The City of Windsor undoubtedly is supporting these jobs through an open-for-business approach, and we look to make it seamless as possible for the expansion to get built and become operational. Investments like this create spin-off benefits for all manufacturing facilities in the area, including Metro Detroit. What's good for Windsor is good for Detroit and vice versa. And we know that Stellantis has an amazing record of supporting the local parts sector and creating great jobs, in this case, the jobs of the future. Prime Minister Trudeau and Premier Ford, please accept my gratitude for your government's commitment that are making these announcements possible here today. These things do not happen without support from the top levels. And on behalf of my city and many of my city councillors that are here today, we thank you sincerely for your commitment to see this happen. Minister Champagne and Fedeli, in case anyone was wondering, Minister Champagne and I were not twins. When we stand next to each other, there's often confusion, but it is always great to have you here, sir, and Minister Fedeli as well. Honestly, both of them are absolutely incredible ambassadors in your roles, and I appreciate all that you and your teams did to get this across the finish line. Before I leave, there's another group I want to thank, and this is a really important group. And Mark, you're here. Dave Buckingham is here. The entire team. Tony is here, the manager of the facility, who actually knows my dad from his time at Chrysler. I want to recognize the team at Stellantis, and we can thank municipal government and federal government and provincial government. You all deserve thanks, and you've heard me say it. But I want to thank the Stellantis team that is here, because if you didn't have people like Mark and Dave and Lori Shalhoub sitting here today and all of the others that make up the senior team, this investment could have gone somewhere else. This is a highly competitive internal process for Stellantis to go through to prove internally to their board that we are the right location here in Windsor to see this type of investment happen. So we are electrified, and together we've done it. Together we are putting the win in Windsor, and together we are delivering results for Canada, for Ontario, and for the City of Windsor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes the formal part of our agenda today, so thank you.
Thank you. I will ask... I'll ask participants to return to the podium, please. We will have 20 minutes for the media availability, 1 question, 1 follow-up for each reporter. Please identify your outlet and your name. We can start with the first question, please.
Mr. Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you so much, Mr. Prime Minister. There's background noise. So, Mr. Prime Minister, Kyle Mazza from UNF News. Thank you for taking my question. You said in your remarks that there are some that say you have to choose between the environment and the economy, and then you said you get it. You understand it. What does this partnership mean to Canadians, and what would you say to those who said that to you? And then on another topic, Lavrov compared Ukraine's Zelensky to Hitler, who said he had Jewish blood. The Russian foreign minister also accused the United States and Canada of training neo-Nazis now in the ranks of the Ukrainian military. What is your response to him saying these things?
First of all, over the past 7 years as a government, we've demonstrated that there shouldn't be anyone who thinks there's an actual choice to make between what's good for the economy and what's good for the environment. You can't have a plan for the future of the Canadian economy without having a plan to fight climate change and invest in clean air for future generations. But likewise, you can't have a plan to protect the environment right across the country if you don't have a plan to bring Canadians along with good jobs and investments that are going to secure their future. And that's what we've been focused on over the past 7 years, working with partners at the provincial level, at the municipal level, right across the country. And our steady approach on lowering carbon emissions, including with the price on pollution that is applied right across the country, so there's no longer free to pollute anywhere in the country, but also investing in historic amounts of transformation of green tech, of cleaner jobs, has resulted in Canadians understanding that not only is the world changing, which everyone feels, but there is place for Canadians and for everyone in that future we're building. There's place for Windsor auto workers. There's place for energy workers across the country. There are good careers and good opportunities even as we build a stronger and more thoughtful future that both grows the economy and protects the environment.
Follow-up?
In regards to Minister Lavrov's comments, they are ridiculous and unacceptable. The fact that Russia, as we've seen, has been peddling misinformation and disinformation has, reached a point where it shouldn't surprise us anymore. But for what the Russian foreign minister just said is unbelievable, and Canada and all right-thinking countries around the world, and Canadians and everyone who stands against the horrors of the Holocaust and the tremendously concerning rise in hate crimes, whether it be anti-Semitism or anti-Islamophobia or anti-black racism, we need to stand condemning ever stronger the ridiculous and unacceptable positions of Russia, even as we stand with Ukraine.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
We'll take the next question.
Prime Minister. Thank you. I was wondering, John Lidke, Rose City Politics, how important is it for you to see a national framework for EV rebates?
Well, I think we've seen that the places that have created EV targets for their communities, particularly Quebec and BC, are places where more EVs are sold. So jurisdiction decisions around encouraging people to buy and make the switch towards electric vehicles, and making sure those electric vehicles are affordable at a time where a lot of people are looking at high gas prices and saying maybe it is the time to switch towards electric. Governments can play a real role in supporting that. And like I said, I saw that in British Columbia just a few weeks ago, where a family explained to me that because of the rebates they were able to buy an electric vehicle. As a federal government, we're moving forward with strengthened and expanded EV mandates to make sure that Canadians can save up to $5,000 on a purchase of an electric vehicle. There are a number of provinces that are adding their own rebate systems to that. But in regards to the decisions that individual provinces make, I'll leave those up to the provincial leaders to make determinations on and answer questions on.
Thank you.
Follow-up question?
Follow-up for the Premier. Premier Ford, hope you're doing well. You're standing in front of highway signs for Ontario. Obviously, this is a big announcement. You've been making multiple announcements about the electrification of the automotive industry. I wonder if, because you're in election mode right now, are we going to be hearing an announcement from you about EV rebates?
Well, what we decided, first of all, thank you for the question. We decided to invest into the people. We put billions of dollars into investments in the manufacturing of batteries. We put in billions of dollars partnering with the federal government in the people. Now, when you invest in the people, everyone else benefits. And let me explain that for the people of Windsor. When we did this investment, and I want to thank Stellantis and LG for investing, and obviously the federal government, what goes along with it is a new hospital that they've been waiting for decades. New schools, $90 million of new schools here. We're rebuilding bridges, we're rebuilding roads, we're twinning Highway 3. That's what happens when you invest into the people, and there's spin-off jobs, 7 to 1. So we're going to continue to invest into green steel up in Hamilton and Algoma, and we're going to focus on critical minerals as well. So I'm going to focus on the people, and that puts more money in the economy. But thank you for that question.
Thank you, Premier.
Next question, please.
Hey, good afternoon. My question is, my first question is for Mr. Mark Stewart of Stellantis. Hello, Mr. Mark. Slow supply of electric vehicles is contributing to slow pace of uptake in Canada and the U.S., where many customers have to wait for months and even more than a year to get an electric vehicle. What needs to be done, in your opinion, to get more EVs out of the door more quickly?
Yeah, I think first step is the investments all of us as more traditional automakers as we're making the convergence, right, and the transition to that. So for us, we're investing $35 billion into that, and as you see at the start of model year 24, will be an onset every year in and out for us of full battery electric vehicles to supplement the plug-in hybrids we have today. So today we have the Pacifica plug-in hybrid that has been a staple for the last 3.5, 4 years. We launched the Wrangler plug-in hybrid last April. It's the #1 selling plug-in hybrid in North America. And then we are launching in the coming weeks our Grand Cherokee plug-in hybrid that's about ready to hit the dealerships as well. So that's the transitionary technology for us. In terms of the waiting for a year, right, we've all been plagued with the issues around the chipsets, but as well as the development for the EV. So it's not just a chip phenomena, right? It really is about having the technology ready. It's also about customers being ready. We are very proud of the number of loyal customers we have across our 14 brands around the world, and it's important that our customers make that journey with us, that they're ready, that we're helping to educate the importance, right? Importance for the environment, the importance for our communities, and the importance for us to bring those customers along, because if we have the best vehicles but customers don't want them, we have a problem. So all that needs to go hand in hand.
Thank you. Mr. Trudeau, my second question is for you. Ottawa police were able to call in additional officers and control the so-called Rolling Thunder protest this weekend without becoming entrenched like what happened in the winter. Why then there was a need, from your perspective, to use the Emergencies Act to quell the protest in the winter, where when the act came into effect, it was the only protest was left was the one in Ottawa?
I think people in Windsor and in the city of Ottawa and in factories across Canada and plants across Canada understood well what a deep disruption the blocking of the Ambassador Bridge, the blocking of the border crossings was, the occupations of and blockadings of downtowns were on our economy and on the ability of Canadians to go about their daily lives. Now, it is an important principle of our democracy that we will always defend in the right to free expression and the right to peaceful protest. That is something we will always do. At the same time, when those protests become illegal, it is important that police have the tools to be able to engage and remove those illegal protests. That is what we had to do with the Emergencies Act earlier this winter, where police were agreed that they did not have, with existing laws, the tools necessary to end these illegal blockades. So we move forward in a responsible, time-limited, measured fashion to give police the resources and tools necessary to end those blockades. In regards to the situation this past weekend, the police had accessibility to further resources that were provided, and we were pleased to see them able to use what they had learned, what they had seen, and the current legal framework to make sure that protest remained peaceful and time-limited.
Next question.
This is for the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, your government has promised full transparency on the decision to invoke the Emergencies Act in response to the convoy protest. Will you instruct your government to waive cabinet confidentiality so that Justice Rouleau has access to all the information that your government used to make that decision? If not, why not?
As we've said, it is extremely important that we have full transparency on the use of this unprecedented piece of legislation. We used it in a time-limited and measured way to end an illegal blockade that police told us they didn't have the resources to end without these extra tools. But part of invoking the Emergencies Act, even in a time-limited and measured way, involves accountability and transparency measures, a parliamentary committee that was struck to look into it, and a full public inquiry into that process. And we have appointed Justice Rouleau, and we will be working with him to make sure he has everything he needs to be able to fully account for how the Emergencies Act was used, why it was invoked, and what were the circumstances leading up to the invocation of the Emergencies Act.
Follow-up question. Next question.
Gabriel Niconada de Radio-Canada. J'ai deux petites questions à l'endroit du Premier ministre Justin Trudeau. Est-ce que vous avez l'intention de vous rendre à Kiev comme bon nombre de chefs d'État et de gouvernement l'ont fait ces derniers jours? Je voudrais la réponse en français et en anglais, s'il vous plaît.
As people well know, Canada has stood strongly with Ukraine from the beginning of Russia's illegal war in Ukraine. We stand with Ukraine not just because of the deep people-to-people ties that Canada and Ukraine has with so many Canadians counting Ukrainian origins in their ancestry, but also we stand with Ukraine because the fight they have against Putin's illegal war is a fight for the values and stability that underpin Canada and so many democracies like it, which is why we work closely with the Ukrainian government. I speak regularly with President Zelensky. Our Deputy Prime Minister is always on the phone with her counterparts over there, and we continue to work also with allies around the world to do everything we can to support Ukraine and push back and make sure that Russia loses this illegal war. And every step of the way, we will continue to do whatever is necessary to help Ukraine. Comme j'ai dit depuis le début, nous allons toujours être avec l'Ukraine dans leur défense contre cette guerre provoquée par Vladimir Poutine, parce que non seulement ils sont en train de se défendre, et c'est des amis historiques du Canada, mais aussi parce qu'ils sont en train de défendre les principes de nos démocraties auxquels nous tenons très cher. Comme vous savez, on est toujours en contact avec le gouvernement ukrainien pour livrer ce dont ils ont besoin. Nous allons continuer de l'être et on va toujours chercher à contribuer de façon positive pour aider les Ukrainiens dans ce conflit contre la guerre illégale de la Russie.
Est-ce que vous avez l'intention de vous rendre à Kiev?
As we said, we continue to work closely with Ukrainian leadership. I'm in regular contact with President Zelensky. And in terms of delivering the things that they need, whether it's ammunition or weapons or now even heavy artillery, whether it's financial support or humanitarian support, our focus is on being there to support Ukraine every step of the way. Nous allons toujours être là pour appuyer l'Ukraine avec tout ce dont ils ont besoin, que ce soit de l'artillerie lourde ou des armes ou bien du financement pour faire fonctionner leur gouvernement ou bien de l'aide humanitaire. Nous allons continuer d'être là.
Next question, please. Next question.
Oui, OK. Est-ce que...
No, next. You got your follow-up already, sir.
Hey, it's CBC News here. Prime Minister and the Premier here. You're appearing with the Premier 2 days before the election campaign begins. How is that not tacit support for his campaign?
This is about investing in Windsor. This is about the culmination of months, if not years, of putting Canada forward as the right partner for electric vehicle investments. We have been working tirelessly at this for many, many, many months. And this is good news that I know the people of Windsor wouldn't wanted to have waited a day longer for. This is an important announcement today that is focused on the people of Windsor, the people of Brampton, and mostly the future we are building where a strong economy and a protected environment go hand in hand to create that better future for our kids and grandkids.
Follow-up, Chris?
Premier, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, as the Prime Minister said, we've been working jointly on this for a number of months between Minister Fedeli and Minister Champagne. But, you know, I don't know. I just put all these political stripes aside. We've worked so well together throughout the pandemic on all three levels of government, and people expect us to. Once the election is over, they expect us to work together. We've worked on all 5 major auto companies. We've worked on the critical minerals together. We've worked on the largest transit project in North America with our lines in Toronto. We worked on out in Hamilton with the electric arc furnace. That's like taking 1 million cars off the road for Dofasco. Working with them. I mentioned Algoma. So I don't care about the political stripes. The people expect this to get done. We're getting it done, and the people will decide on June the 2nd. Thank you.
And this for Mr. Stewart. You talked about the supply chain issues that were asked about in relation to how it goes about buying a vehicle. What can Canada do to better shore up the supply for those chips that we keep hearing about as they affect the people here at the Windsor Assembly Plant who are worried about how things are forecasted and when they're going to work, how often they're going to work?
Well, I tell you, both at Windsor and Brampton, between the plant leadership team, the folks from Unifor and the folks on the floor have been working hand in hand together to get absolutely as competitive as we can, because it's a competitive world of chip allocation. And that's why it was really important, and I was very excited to say we are committed and keeping Windsor on 2 shifts. Windsor has made really strong improvements over already good performance, and so they're getting the allocation of chips in a land of precious few chips to be able to do that. And the exact same thing in Brampton. We are staying on the 2 shifts, and we are cranking it in Brampton. Those plants have shown that they can be competitive, and our customers are aching for those products. So I think everybody's doing exactly what they need to.
Thank you, and we'll take the last question. La dernière question.
Mark, you can stay up there. While you're walking up. You seem to like Windsor a little bit, huh?
I do. I do. I like it a little bit more than a little bit, right? As Dave said, I've been with the company about 3.5 years, and in my first couple weeks, I had the privilege of coming here and coming to Brampton, and we're so happy with the quality performance. So happy that, and you probably heard my voice quaver a bit on some of the speech. I wear my heart right here on a string, my emotions, and it's because the folks here in Windsor and the folks in Brampton deserve this.
Who, if you had to point certain people out, who are the biggest champions or maybe even pests when it comes to getting these things done?
There are no pests in a land of fighting for next generations of products, not one. All champions, and you can call them all out. Shane, Danny, absolutely driving. Dave, driving. Tony, driving. All of the members of Unifor, all members of my team, and all members of the government community that you saw today. I mean, I'm super pleased. Dave called out, between Lori Shalhoub, we've got Jacqueline, and all of our teams that have really been digging to make this happen. And I could not be more proud to be part of this Stellantis family.
Thank you. That concludes the press conference.